Welcome. It's the FIH Hockey Pro League show, and today we'll be discussing the Pro League bonanza of international matches that have taken place in South Africa, as well as the most recent matches in Buenos Aires between Argentina and England. Before I introduce and welcome today's guests, we'll just take a quick look back at some of the goal-scoring moments of the past few days.
Albertaria, one-on-one with Ansley, cuts back. Has she got the finish? The answer is an unequivocal yes.
It's a ball that's floated forwards to start with.
And here come Germany again, swarming forward. Little touch inside, and that is a superb goal by T-Sprints. 3-0 it is, and just a beautiful piece of quality hockey.
At times, something's been upgraded massively into a penalty stroke or something. You go, well, what skill is that? Oh, that is amazing! Genuine genius. Absolutely phenomenal from Granato.
A second goal for Julian Kunas. It was scored from about a metre, but it was made from way further out than that by Maria Granato.
Veritable bonanza of goals there, and so nice to see it all being played in front of an audience as well in Buenos Aires. So on our panel of hockey experts today, we're delighted to welcome a special guest, Wanri Venter, who has featured heavily in the action in South Africa, as she has been one of the team of umpires who have officiated those 14 matches. So hi Wanri, how are you?
Hello, very well, thanks. Nice
Great
to be here.
See you. Brilliant. We also welcome back Shea McAleese from New Zealand, who after a stellar and long career with the Blacksticks is now assistant coach to the New Zealand women's team. Hi Shea.
G'day Sarah, thanks for having me again.
Absolute pleasure. And making his first appearance since taking over as head coach to the Netherlands women, we welcome former German international and renowned hockey coach Jami Mülders. Hi Jami.
Hey, good to see you all.
And great to see you as well. And finally, it's a welcome back to Spain's women's head coach, Adrian Lock, who is actually joining us from India and on his birthday. So thanks for making that extra bit of effort, Adi. How are you?
Hi, Sarah. Yeah, very well, thank you.
And what a way to be spending your birthday, hey?
Yeah, exactly. No better place to be.
Before we start the analysis of the past few days of hockey, I thought we'd just check in with each of you because it has been a really busy week in all of your lives. So first of all, I'll come to you, Shea. I mean, last time we spoke, you retired from the sport. You're now assistant head coach to the Blacksticks women. How's that going?
Yeah, it's pretty good actually. We had our squad trials about 2 weeks ago. So we get together in New Zealand split in North, East, South, and so we had the top 40 players in the country get together and go head to head over 3 matches, and then we selected our squad, which should become live in the next couple of days. So pretty exciting time because we've had quite a few players from Tokyo that have either stepped away for a year, got long-term injury, or just simply retired. So yeah, when one steps away, another one has to step into their shoes. So exciting year ahead for us. Yeah,
absolutely. And what do the next few months hold? I mean, I'm guessing Commonwealth Games, because I don't know what the travel restrictions are at the moment in New Zealand. So what's on the horizon?
Yeah. It's going to be, again, difficult because we are probably one of the most locked-in countries in the world at the moment. We're still looking at trying to play Australia and potentially in April or May, but there is a likelihood that still might not happen. Omicron's only actually literally just starting to take hold in New Zealand. We've been pretty lucky for a little while here now. But we do have Commonwealth Games and World Cup back-to-back. And from all my playing career, as long as I've known it, will be the longest tour that we'll do in one stint because we'll stay in Europe. So it will almost be a 10-week trip for us, which is quite long in the whole scheme of things as well. So there'll be a few hurdles to jump over and try and get the girls firing for 2 tournaments to peak basically twice in a row.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm guessing, I mean, you must have had experience of coaching women before, but, if you need some advice on how to coach women's teams, you've got 2 fellow coaches on the panel here.
Yeah.
Jami, you've had your first outing as the head honcho with the Netherlands, actually against Adi's Spanish team. So we know the results, but in terms of, the matches themselves, how did you feel everything went?
We get used to each other. Let me say it like this. It's still and will remain for a long time a transition phase. So it's definitely not about what I'm feeling like. It's like they're treating me well. The situation is known by everyone, so it's a bit awkward still. But we're getting through.
Good to hear. And I mean, what great person to take teams through times like this. Adi, I think the general impression of your Spanish team in their opening matches of the Pro League were really positive, especially the way the team developed from one game to the next. How did you feel that all went? And you know, how's it looking for the next round of matches?
Yeah, we were pretty happy with the games as a starting point. Obviously, we hadn't really been together for long beforehand. We just had got together that week. So as a starting point, I thought it was good. I thought the team worked hard. Obviously, when you play against Holland, we know that we're going to have tough games. And like you said, I was happy, especially with the way we implemented what we'd worked on during the week. And then, like you say as well, how we developed from the first game to the second game, because really in the first game we had very little possession and virtually no chances. So we knew that we could do better. Also, we weren't really happy because we had trained a lot better than we played in the game. So we talked about that. But as a starting point, we were happy with how we set out. Now we've got this block of training time together with those games. And then we played Germany last week, and now here in India when we're together. And then apart from the Pro League in March, we're not back together again really until May with that big block of Pro League games. So as the more we can advance the team in these few weeks and get our new ideas across, and we've got quite a few new players as well. So if the transition can be as smooth as possible and let everyone know a little bit where they are or where we want to go with the team, then everyone will be ready to start working into the Olympic cycle.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, and just the experience of traveling out to India and you know, learning how to cope with all those different things is really big for you, Scott. We'll come on to that later, though. But I was just going to turn to Wanri now. There have been 14 international matches taking place since the 8th of February in Potchefstroom. And you and Anneliese Rosteren, Sean Rapport and Aidan Shreves have actually done all of those games, including a historical first when you and Anneliese became the first female umpiring team to officiate an FIH international match. First of all, congratulations on your performance. And I think I also would extend that to the whole organisation out in South Africa, because it looked like it was an amazing event. But can you tell me, in your words, how was it out there? And, you know, what were the challenges you faced?
Well, it was definitely great to finally welcome international teams back to South Africa. I think for a couple of us, it was quite hard in the sense that the last international hockey we saw was in January 2020 before lockdown started. So that was a real challenge. I was actually out in New Zealand doing the first equally amazing match, Belgium against New Zealand. So to jump from that ladies match straight into a men's match was quite a challenge. I was very fortunate in that we had France-India as our first game, and the players just responded exceptionally well. So it was really for Anneliese and I to umpire together the first female group doing an international men's game. It couldn't have been a nicer game. The players responded well. They were really good on the field. But I must admit, as the weeks went on, with 14 matches there, it became tougher and tougher. The players started to get to know us, and of course, then they test the boundaries and test how far they can go. And so it was definitely a different second week to the first week. I think it was a nice ease into the first week, and then the second week, the hockey definitely, the intensity picked up, and some great hockey played. And yeah, I must also congratulate South African hockey and the Northwest University. They really put on a great show for all the teams, and I think everybody enjoyed the sun out in South Africa, so it was good.
Yeah, absolutely. And what was your approach to game management out there? Because, as you say, you know, you started off with France and India, and the games got gradually more feisty, probably fair to say.
Yeah.
You know, did you guys discuss the way that you were going to approach things? Because we could hear you, and you sounded very in control throughout the whole tournament.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, the four of us kind of stayed together, and we were together for most of the time, analyzing all our games and analyzing our performances. So as a group, it was really nice to get to spend that time together and work together on each game. Definitely, I think on the field, we were there for each other all the time. We definitely tried to create bonds between us and the players. And so hopefully from that, we were hoping that the flow would be good. There were some tough matches. Some of the teams really got stuck in, especially later in the trip. But for us as an umpiring team, we wanted to be consistent throughout the matches, and I hope that came across. And yeah, so for me, it was really just creating a good rapport with the players and making sure that they know that we are approachable, we are open, and we're there to serve the game and to make sure that the right result ends up at the end.
Yeah, I mean, and as I say, I thought you did a fantastic job. Jami, you watched some of those matches. What were your thoughts, first of all, on the umpiring performance, because she's here, you can tell her, and then on generally what was going on in South Africa out there, because there was a lot of interesting matches, weren't there?
Yeah, for sure. So what you've said, that coaches and players are testing boundaries. First time that I hear that. So I don't know what Shane and Adrian are saying about this, but it's
because you never test a boundary, do you, Jami?
Come on. Nah, it was. I've sent you a message while watching these games because, to be honest, it was for me it was more than needed that two women start umpiring these kind of matches, because at the end it's about quality, and they've delivered amazing quality in each game. And I'm a bit annoyed that it's still a fact that we are talking about this. So it's at the end, when I look back at 2012, when I started coaching on this kind of level with the German women, let me say the women's umpires were a bit different. So from quality and behaving style and everything. And since then, it really speeded up. So the quality, to me, is within the last years became better and better. It's the same. It really catched up with a style of play. And we need to stop talking about that's a different group, it's a different idea, it's a different. No, they are managing the game. Either it's a game of men or women, and they're doing it quite well. And at the end, the best ones need to do this. And no one should umpire a game because of the gender. It's because of the quality, and that's how we look at this. And I'm 100% sure that my colleagues agree to this, because at the end, what we want is the best possible setup for our athletes. And what I saw in South Africa, heads up, it was top.
Yeah, absolutely. Last comment on that one, because quite rightly, Jami said we shouldn't carry on banging on about it. But in terms of what it's done for your game, because there is a difference, isn't there? There's a difference in speed, so hence there's a difference in decision making on the game itself. So what do you feel? Because you're a relatively new umpire to the very top level, aren't you? So this must have been a great learning experience for you.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, the game of hockey is the same. You manage it the same. The difference is the speed, I guess. I still remember the first slap hit that the Dutch put into the circle. I don't think I even saw the hit. It was so fast. And so it's just adjusting your eyes to it. And after a couple of minutes, you're used to it. So I think that's really the main thing. It's umpiring is all about positioning, and it's about being in the correct position at the correct time. And so you just have to adjust quicker. You've got to be a little bit sharper. You're sprinting against guys who run much faster than you, so you've got to make sure that you react a little bit faster. But I felt comfortable doing the games. Of course, extremely nervous beforehand, but getting on the pitch and doing it just felt like another international game. It didn't feel like something different, which was really, really good.
Since our last show, we've seen France just getting better and better with each match, and South Africa as well. And while South Africa didn't get the wins, we certainly saw them improving their game management and things like that. You're taking Spain in the same direction. You're opening them up to new opportunities and new learning. How quickly do those changes become embedded in the team? How quickly do these learnings sort of settle in and move your team to the next level?
Yeah, I think when you play against top teams, I mean, these teams have come into the Pro League as slightly lower ranked teams than the teams that are already there. So they're looking to that challenge of that's where they want to go. And I think when you play a series of games against teams that are better than you, obviously you learn a lot about yourself as a team. You learn about where you are. You learn about what the other teams do that maybe you don't do yet, and you pick up things. And as you get into the games, sometimes it's just simply the intensity of the game or the precision of the game, and you see where you can improve. You see where you can stop other teams from making a difference with your own team if you're a weaker team. And then it's something that happens quite quickly in the short term. But then I think it's a lot of the time because you're playing better, because you're playing against better teams. But then when you go back to playing weaker teams, sometimes those habits have been because the other teams have made you play better, but it's a question of then integrating it into your own way of being, own way of playing, so that you do it every day in those matches, and then take it into your training, so you do it every day in training, and then it becomes really integral in how you are as a person, not only as a member of the team, be it a staff member or a player, but in how you are as a person. And then you kind of makes it an everyday thing, and that's when it really becomes part of the team, the way you play always. So I think it's when you're playing against higher ranked teams, I always found it easier to kind of step up, but then harder then afterwards to keep that level always and keep that demand and everything you do at that high level. But I think it'll be a great experience, and I think it's normal that they've kind of grown into it as they've gone along.
And we've seen some great performances. Shea, with obviously South Africa, it's a slightly similar situation to New Zealand in that they have struggled to find top-class international competition in the past because they have to travel a long way out of their country to do that. And with New Zealand, I mean, you've obviously got Australia down the road, but across the ocean. But aside from that, you have to travel a long way. How important for the development of hockey in South Africa has this series of events been, not just for the players, but for the umpires, for the officials, for everybody who has experienced holding events of this sort?
Oh, it's massive, to be honest. Like, I think like that's what the Pro League has brought, like particularly like for us in New Zealand. I think South Africa now and the teams that have entered just recently, like to be able to play regularity of quality matches like Adi was speaking about, and know that you're going to get the best coming to you. You know, like we hadn't had a team like Holland come to New Zealand in a few years, and then the Pro League means that they've got to come and play as well. Obviously back then we could have a good amount of crowd, which is obviously unfortunate with the situation we've got going on now. But just having that regularity of matches is really important. And as Adi said, it really tests you out as a team, and it will show you where your holes are and where your gaps are. And sometimes if you're playing teams that are, you know, relatively ranked below you, you're not going to find out where those holes are. So it's the added saying of, you know, you learn more from your losses than you do from your wins. I think, you know, obviously New Zealand, South Africa would like to win a few more games than probably what we have done in the last little while. But it did show that South Africa improved from game to game. And even when they were losing a couple of those games by big scores at the start, they still had plenty of circle penetrations. They still had plenty of, shots on goal. And just because probably that finishing touch, it was missing from them in the start. And then they started to sort that out towards the end.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely saw all of these teams really improve. One team we haven't mentioned yet, Jami, I don't know, did you have a chance to see the German performances out in South Africa, and what were your overall impressions of the team?
Of the German especially? Yeah, at the end, they are talking still about the same kind of stuff, talented group. They struggle with, really get an output in the opponent D and defend quite far better in the own D. So it's the same kind of story, some new faces. I think it's a fresh style of hockey they are still showing. But yeah, they again restarted with a new coach, and again they try to find their track towards World Cup in India and Paris. At the end, you can always count them in the top 5-6 teams who might medal at the end. But at the end, they also need to prove it at a certain moment. So, and they missed it for long. So the last big win for Germany is back in 2013 at the Europeans. So if you really count on finishing top, they've done and shown great performances since that. But I think their own idea of play is still under progress. So let's see where they end up at the end of the year, and then they need to really shape and sharpen towards India.
Yeah, it's sort of I know it's a fact, but it's also quite a surprise that they haven't won a big event since 2013, because you always expect Germany to be there, don't you? You know, as you say, they generally are. I thought some of their play was great, but as I say, it's a team that's growing. We're going to have a quick look now at some of the outstanding saves of the week, and then come to talk about some of the matches that have taken place in Argentina. So just sit back and enjoy some of this goalmouth action.
So no keeper. Here goes Grambo. Shaw saved on the line. It's going to be a reward. Clément getting the long barrier down in time, or it may have been Ford. It's Clement, and that's a good save from Stadler, and another one, and then it goes over the top.
Great double save by the German goalkeeper there, holding his ground, nice and patient on the rebound.
And now Trinchinetti tries to pass it in. Tennant made one save, made a second save. Better from Amy Tennant. Keeps it at 4-0.
Had to readjust, pushing out there, got all the rebound from the foam to get the ball away.
Oh, so that was the action down in Argentina, and this will be of particular importance to all our coaches today, as Argentina women have been flexing their muscles, as we saw in action there against England. We've come to you first, Adi. Actually, we saw two impressive displays by Argentina women to beat England 5-2 on both occasions. What were your impressions of the Argentina performances?
I thought they were good. I think it's one of the teams that's had most continuity in their group, their playing group. They've changed coaches, but pretty much all their players are the same players that they had before, with a couple of youngsters coming in. So I think they've had a lot of continuity in terms of the players that are there. And I feel in that way they've kind of maybe left off where they were. I think that's maybe one of the differences between most of the other teams who've maybe renewed more players or had young players coming in or had more players dropping out possibly. But I feel they're looking to take advantage of the weapons they've got, obviously with the flicks from the back. That's one of the main things they've got, with the speed and one-on-ones in attack. I was particularly impressed by Maria Granato, because I felt she hasn't played so well in the last couple of years. And I thought she was coming back to more outstanding performances, obviously with the quality of the forward line and the creating opportunities. And I thought that England went there with all the youngsters, or basically all their new players. They took all of them to give them that experience, which they tend to do at the beginning of a cycle. And I think, as David Ralph said in the interviews during the games and before and half time, then they were sometimes just trying to literally just get up to the speed of the game. Because the international hockey is that step ahead. So I thought Argentina were pretty solid, and they'd left off they've taken off the new cycle where they ended the last one. So I thought they looked pretty strong.
What about you, Shea? What were your impressions? Did you sort of do a little bit of video analysis with your players and think they're a team to beat?
Yeah. To be honest, it was interesting to see it as well. And like we're going to come up against England and pool play as well. And in Argentina, we're looking pretty sharp. I think two of the teams that I think for me are going pretty well at the moment, and world hockey, and is sort of starting to challenge the likes of Holland, Argentina, and on more regularly, and obviously they have done in the past, and then Spain. I just think they brought a bit of speed and oomph to the game, really. You know, they every time they got onto that attacking 25, you started to see some flair. And I think particularly when Argentina are playing with a bit of flair, then they're causing a few issues, and when their skills are coming off, then they're getting regular shots on goal. And you could see that across both games with scoring 10 goals.
Jami, same question to you, really. I mean, are they the team to challenge the Netherlands? They're normally there or thereabouts, but we're seeing some pretty solid performances from them now.
Yeah, I think Fernando has implemented some new stuff. So still, like Adrian said, you can see the individual strengths, but Fernando, to me, has really implemented some style of, let me say, some kind of ball possession game. So they really take care of the ball a bit more than before. So it's really more a team game than take the ball and go, which at the end, it benefits to their strengths. And they have added some new players as well, but not in the same style like England has done it. So I think England has 7 or 8 new players, so debutants, which it's great for them to start playing and to start the international career down in Argentina. So like, I think it's the same for the man. If you start playing your first game in India, wow, first game women's in Argentina, great. So let's see what the year will bring towards the World Cup. But Argentina is always one of the top teams who really are keen on medaling and who have the ability to do this. It's no doubt.
They've got a forward line, haven't they, which would strike fear into a lot of people's hearts. Shea, just turning your attention to the men's game or games, Argentina, England. There were some old timers in the Argentina squad: Agustin Mazzini, Lucas Villa, Mateus Rey, but there was also some serious young talent coming through as well. What were your impressions of the Argentina men?
The games were interesting. Like, I think they were obviously quite tight. Like the first game I described as a game of moments. The ball across and Sanford unfortunately tips it into his own goal, and then at 1-0 up, good save on the line from the Argie, and then just right on 3/4 time, England should have cleared a PC, and then Argentina actually ended up scoring. So I think that's probably a bit of a difference between, particularly in that first game, as a game of moments, and Argentina tended to take their moments and England didn't. The good part, again, as I said, is that it is good to see some fresh blood coming through in international hockey, and I think Argentina have needed it as well, particularly from Tokyo. They had probably one of the oldest squads there, and just to see some young blood coming through, I think, is a really good thing, and try to revitalise their group. And then in game two, it's I always tend to go through my stats as well. It was a bit of a stats game. So England had 13 shots total, 12 in the first half, 6 PCs, 5 in the first half, 24 circle entries, 16 in the first half, and they didn't score. So that kind of shows you a little bit about the game. And then they actually, they only had one shot in the second half and scored 1 goal, but they still lost 3-1. So it kind of shows you a little bit about how Argentina tend to play. In both games, they were down on possession by almost 10 to 15% in most quarters, but they have that kind of counter-attack flair style hockey that can get them out of trouble at any which stage. I particularly remember watching that at the Junior World Cup. Their team did exactly the same, set at sort of quarter-court and counter-attacks. And it's their style, and it works. But it was good to see.
Yeah, really good.
And don't forget, and don't forget, still one of the best goalkeepers is on the field, eh?
Yeah.
Bellin is still keeping, eh? So it's we're always talking about the young ones and the young guns coming in. One of the best is still performing, eh?
Yeah. Yes, you're so right. Wanri, we saw stands full of Argentina fans, and we know that's what makes hockey in Argentina so very, very special. As an umpire, what impact does that have on you? Are you aware of the stat? I mean, I know in South Africa you didn't have those crowds, but as an umpire, when you are playing, if you like, in front of the crowds, does that impinge on you at all?
No, I think it creates the same vibe for the umpires. I think we also thrive for the spectators in the stands, and it's great to have them there. You just have to be clever about it. You put your earpiece in your left ear, then you don't hear the people in the crowd. But it's nice. It's a bit like the coaches. You have the coaches every now and again shouting something to you, and the people in the crowd the same. And I think that just refocuses you and gets you back into the game. So I love having crowds. And we really hope for the Junior World Cup, actually, in Potchefstroom, that the crowds will be back. So we're pushing for that.
It'd be brilliant. And actually, having seen the way that South Africa hockey managed these matches, it is going to be really, really exciting at the Junior World Cup as well. We're actually going to have to, we're actually running out of time, which is ridiculous because there's still so much to talk about. But I just wondered if we could go to Adi, just for sort of the final comments. You are about to embark on a couple of games in India. You were telling us before the show that you've landed, and the players are getting used to time zones and everything else as well. How are you viewing the next few days? What's going to happen in terms of getting your players ready for the challenges ahead, and what do you hope for from those games?
Yeah, well, for the next few days, our priority is to get in the best physical condition possible after the trip and the change of time zone, everything like that. Keep everyone healthy. That's our priority. We've been together for 8 days now, 9 days. So with most of the work that we want to do before these games has already been done. Just a question of just getting going again before the games. I think there'll be exciting games. I think what I've seen of India is they're always an attacking team. They've got incredible individual talent. Obviously, with a new coach coming in, I think that's always interesting to see how the team will develop with the new coach, as a lot of the teams at the moment. And I think with Shopman, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. And I'm also interested to see how our younger players who have come in also perform here, and how they take on what India will throw at them with their style of play, their attacking style of play. And hopefully we can take some lessons out of the friendly matches we played last week, especially defensively. Whereas I was fairly happy with how we were defensively against Holland. I was not happy defensively how we were last week. And I know that will be a challenge that India will definitely give us. So I think there should be some pretty exciting games.
Yeah, absolutely. Jami, just come to you. What are your thoughts? Because you'll obviously be watching these games, seeing these teams for your sort of your future matches. What are your thoughts on this next set of matches?
It's interesting to see it. It's especially like Adrian said, the young guns from Spain have impressed amazingly. They have done well at the under-21 level, and they showed lots of quality together with the older ones, like experienced ones like Gigi and Lopez Garcia and all the other ones. So to me, Spain is a team that would definitely surprise in the home World Cup. So for sure, they have the quality to really show again what they have shown in 2018 and at the Olympics. So there's no doubt about it. And in India, Janneke has implemented together with Short, let me say, kind of mindset, which allowed the Indian team to perform at the Olympics and at the Asian Cup before and now again. So again, everyone knows the quality of Janneke as a coach. So I'm sure India will also develop throughout the months and games. And for them, it's key to have these high quality games back in India. So for me, these are games, it's a must watch, same to Sean, to the New Zealand coaches and all the other ones. It's interesting to see.
Yeah, interesting times, definitely. We're going to have to wrap up. So my big thanks to all of you for your time spent chatting to us today, to Shea, to Wanri, to Adi, to Jami. We're going to finish with a final clip, which is a moment of the week, again, from Argentina. So I'll hand over to the video clip, but thank you all very, very much for taking part today.
At times, if something's been upgraded massively into a penalty stroke or something, you go, well, what skill is that? Oh, that is amazing. Genuine genius. Absolutely phenomenal from Renato.
A second goal for Julian Kunas. It was scored from about a metre.
Stop talking about where the free is given and actually appreciate the skill. This is awesome. Pop, roll, in and juggle, over the stick, what control. Hesh gets a touch and then Yankunas just touches it in. But that is just poetic. It's athletic, it's balanced, it's all about Renato's skill.